to This Week in Svelte episode 125, which is 25 squared, which is a nice number, I think. Today it will probably be a short episode because I don't have a guest, but we're gonna go over the changelog and see what can we learn today. All right, let's move right into the changelog and let's see Svelte. So we have fix don't issue ally warning for video without caption if it has no SRC. And this, by the way, is something that I always I mean, not really. But like this PR was basically a way for Rich to do his Advent of Svelte code, but it was a very nice experience because basically like both of this is basically so source object is it's not really an attribute on video, is more like a property. I don't think you can add a source object from the HTML itself, but you can. Oh yeah, you're right. 25 squared is 625. 125 is 5 cubed. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was talking about this. Basically, like source object is what you can use if you want to display your webcam, for example. So like basically when you have a stream of some sort, you can display it in a video setting video.sourceObject on the video itself. And Rich was talking like basically if you are not aware, this is also a good segue. We are currently running Advent of Svelte, and like last year we did a bunch of releases, but it was like too much to do this year, and so we focus on rather than like new releases, we focused on like let you actually learn all that happened during this year, because I mean it was a lot, and so basically if you take a look, like there like this is like spec.trace, there are also like the Svelte CLI. There is also the attachment. Ken is doing like a fantastic work with these videos. There's no video of mine out yet, and I'm really scared because like Ken but also Jean, like they are doing an amazing work of like building these videos. Like they are funny and very high production quality. And I'm just there talking to the camera. I mean, not really. I'm doing a bit of a skit, but not like that. And so, yeah, if you want, like, follow along with our Advent of Svelte, and you can see Rich falling from the sky. Follow along, and you'll learn a bunch of stuff about Svelte. And today is the start of remote function era. With Simon, so like in the next few days you will learn a lot about remote functions, which is nice. But all of this to say, I think in the probably sixth day, yeah, in the 6th day, Rich presented Async Svelte, so the ability to now run asynchronous stuff within the script tag or the template and stuff like that. And while like he was looking for a way to present it, which was not just, oh, let's fetch some data, and he actually like came up with this example, which I think is very, very cool, because so I don't know if you know about it, but you can to get a video, you can do like to request a video, you can do await window.navigator.get user media. Yeah, I can't remember. So MDN get user media. I can't remember what you need to specify for get user media. The constraint, okay, yeah, get user media, and basically you need to specify, like, I want video, for example, something like this. What? What is going on? Is this an error? Like, it shouldn't be related to that. Let me try let me put it in a button, just out of curiosity. Click. On click is equal to this, and then let's do this. Console.log video. And let's do async here. And now if I do this, 3 arguments required, but only 1 present. Am I? That's not true, like, it's just 1 argument, right? Yeah, you can just do video true. Three arguments required, but only 1 present. That's very weird. Fail to execute on 3 arguments required. What? Window. Is it not navigator? I think it is navigator, right? Get user media. Oh, yeah, that's the old one. Oh, okay. I think it's just window get user media then. Like, I can't remember. Get user media. Oh yeah, it's just window get user media. Nope. Where it is, media devices, that's it. I think it's, let me see. Sorry guys. Window.media devices, no. What media devices, no, that's not it. Get user media. Get user is an interface. It returns a promise. Oh, it's navigator media devices. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. So it's navigator dot media devices. Right. So if I click, it should ask me for a permission. It doesn't. I think it's because I'm in an iframe without permissions. So if I do const video is equal to this, should fail maybe. I'll get there, guys. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Invalid security origin. Cannot set property message. All right, so I can't do it here, but you know what? I am one resilient guy, so let's actually use something very cool, which is set up locally. And I'm gonna open my terminal and go to cd stuff. And I'm gonna do this. Yes. And I cannot use npm, npx, pnpm, dlx. This is not SV fault, by the way. Is webcam Yes, using TypeScript, privilege is linked, and that's fine. PM. All right, see webcam. I can open it in VS Code, and hopefully we should be able to. Yeah, I switched to Z for a couple of days specifically for this reason, like the fact that VS Code takes like several seconds to open for me. I don't know what it is. I'll see if I can fix it in some way, but I don't know. So I already have a sync through, playground app. Okay, so let's actually remove all of this. The nice thing is that you can just do video source object is equal to video. And I should probably also do muted just for good measure. And actually you can even do it literally inline. So like you can do it like this, and that's it. Like this hopefully should open up to my nasty face in the browser. So let's see, pm dev. If I open this, there is an internal error. Oh, because I'm using Navigator. Haha, that's annoying. Navigator, obviously. So if browser, and if we refresh, it's asking me for permissions, allow, and now this is actually Vivaldi that I don't know why, but despite me allowing, it doesn't allow it. And now it is. Like, as you can see, like it's so nice that in Svelte you can just do this. Like you can just await things like literally into the source object, and that's it. Like you get a stream of a video inside a video like this. Like did you ever see something so simple, so nice? Okay, yeah, and all of this to say that like this release was basically to allow Rich to actually do his Hydratable Svelte video. Let's see, add text area wrap off as a valid attribute value. Oh, I didn't actually knew about wrap off. That's nice. Add more CSS selector to print. So print if you are not available, but like if you're not, like we talked about it in the last episode, but basically print is a way, and I can actually show you something. I think I already did it last time, but let's do it again, it's fine. Basically, if I go into my saved hub, print, yep. So print is basically a way for you to act on the Svelte AST. So basically, like in general, when you're working with, like when you're working on a like Vite plugin, for example, or I don't know, on a let's say like I don't know, yeah, a preprocessor, for example. What you generally do, even for example, what we do in Svelte is that we parse your string, because at the end of the day, your component is just a string, and we parse your string into an AST. So like this is the Svelte AST output, and you can see that it's comprised of a CSS style sheet, if there is any, a fragment, which is all the HTML, and an instance. Sorry. An instance. The instance is all the JavaScript, basically. There is also a module in case you have a script module. So if I have script module like this, console.log, you have also a module stuff here, which is nice. And basically, like, this is a representation of your component with a syntax tree. So like, it's literally nested objects that shows you where everything is. So like, for example, in the fragment, you can see that there is a bunch of nodes. Guys, sorry, I'm tired. There is a text node, and then there is a regular element, which is the main. And inside the regular element, there is, for example, attributes. So like the attribute of the main element is class. What? Okay, it's adding a random class. Oh, I know why. But regardless. And then there is a fragment. So the fragment is like the fragment within the main is every node inside the main. And so like there is a text, which is just like a two space, a tab. There is a text area regular element. And so like you can see that basically your whole component is comprised of these objects. And we then go over this compiler and we walk the AST, and walking the AST basically means visiting every node and checking the type of the node, and you can act on this. And basically, like, what you can do is that you can take this AST, and what we do, I'm sorry guys, I'm yawning a lot. What you can do, like what Svelte does, is that it goes over the AST and converts it into JavaScript. And that's why you can see here we have all these changes, like from your code, we compile it to something like this. So like generally compiler uses the abstract syntax tree. Now, obviously, in this case, you don't want, like, if you need to write a preprocessor or a Vite plugin, for example, you don't want to convert your template, like your Svelte component. That's so annoying. Oh yeah, sorry, I was looking at the comment, like, did you see the Jared Palmer's post about the expose that VS Code has a set timeout of 5 milliseconds for every 50 characters parsed into code? It's not exactly into code, it's into the terminal of VS Code. But yeah, it's still a bit annoying. And that is nice. I used it for a bit. But there's so many things that I miss from VS Code, and I just switched back. Like, I actually tried to use it. I replaced every single like alias that I had to open VS Code to Z. I also like changed my raycast to OpenZ, but there's so many things that I really like about VS Code, and I couldn't change. Regardless, going back to this, basically what you can do is that once you have the Svelte AST, you can technically change something into the nodes, and this will it will change how that component looks like. But before we didn't have a print function, and so like you basically had to, either there was a third-party package to print it, or you basically had to... I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. But basically, so what you can do is that you can actually change stuff inside the AST and then use the print function to output a new Svelte component. And so I had this very small playground where basically like you can input some code here. In this case, it's just let count state1, and on click, it's a counter component. And this is the AST of this component, which is like a lot. But then what I'm doing is that I'm modifying the AST. So I'm walking the AST with Zimmer frame, which is a library that Rich wrote, and we are also using that in Svelte. And this basically allows you to get the AST, and you can also have some state, and then you can specify some node that you can, like, this function will get invoked whenever there is an identifier, for example. And so in this case, what I'm doing is that I am basically changing every identifier to Svelte. So like I'm just returning a new node which has the same values except name, which is Svelte, and every literal from whatever it is to 42. And so like the output of this super dumb preprocessor is that whenever you whatever you input, so like let count is equal to $state 1, it becomes let Svelte is equal to Svelte 42. And this also applies to, like, for example, inside the template, like you can see Svelte++. And I think that is also happening for arguments probably. So if I do count, yeah, you can see that count is still an argument, but Svelte is the output of that change. And so like this is actually changing only the Svelte part, which is pretty nice. Like you can do stuff with it. And I wrote some Vite plugin that changes the Svelte code, and I had to do it basically by modifying the string. I'm so annoyed about this. Okay. But regardless. And there was some problem with the CSS selectors, and now Print also handles that correctly. Fix don't crash hydratable serialization failure. So like hydratable is a brand new function that basically allow you to like fetch something on the server and then use that result on the client instead of fetching again. So that's pretty nice. And it was crashing when there was some serialization failure. So like we are using the value to serialize whatever you return from Hydratable, and it shouldn't crash if something goes wrong. It should probably just either like reusing it or like re-invoking it or something else. And now it doesn't. Set ast root.start root.end to template length. So this is just like going back to the AST. Is basically to get proper source maps. You can like get the location of the start and the end correctly. Prevent erroneous state references locally on prop fallbacks. So this was pretty. It was kind of a wild things, but basically we introduced these changes recently, which is that when you do $props, for example, and you get some I don't know, name, if you then declare a state, let x is equal $state name, you'll get a warning. Now, people got really mad about this because, like, I mean, at the end of the day, if you are sure that the prop doesn't change, you can just do svelte ignore state referenced locally, and that's it. I understand that like adding an ignore comment is not the nicest thing to have in the codebase, but it's fine, to be fair. It's a warning. If you know better than the compiler, you can just mute it. However, in a situation like this is actually the right warning, because if you receive a prop which is name and you create a new state, what happens, let me actually show you. So let's say that I do stuff like this and I use X, for example. what happens is that if I import the component, and I use the component, let's say that I do Paulo like this, right? And let's actually do, let's do local name, and let's do input bind value local name, and let's also print local name. So we can do an HR like this, and then we basically do the same thing. Wait, sorry, this should be local name. So we can do the same thing here, and we can have let name is equal $state empty string, and we do this. Okay, so right now I'm passing Paulo, so like those two like have no things in common. And I can change these, and this is reflected, and that's nice. Now, let's say that I change something and I do this, name. Now, the nice thing is, like, the problem is that when I write stuff here, I'm not getting the new value of local name there. When I change this, it's absolutely fine, but when I change that, it's not. Now, sometimes this is what you might want. I would argue that more often than not, that's not the case. And this is especially bad when you try to do stuff like in an each block, because in an each block, unless it's a keyed each block, Svelte will just... I'm sorry guys, I need a coffee. In an each block, Svelte will just change the props, will not actually update the values. So let's actually try, for example. If I do each, I think I can even just do each name as letter, each, ABV, okay. Not name, but name is equal to letter. Now, what happens is that sort, I don't know, like reverse. Click. Name is equal to name dot split dot reverse dot join. Should work, right? And let's actually start with Paulo, for example. So like if I do reverse, did you see it? Like inside my if I do name, so like my name is actually changed, but when I reverse, this doesn't change. And the reason is that you are using a state here. And so you are basically like creating a new variable, which is completely detached from name. Now the solution to this should be to do $derived. And if I do this, I can change this, but then when I reverse, it's actually like synchronizing with the right state. Now this gets a bit more complicated when, for example, instead of a string, you are passing in an array, or you are passing in an object, because that's a reference to the object itself. So it gets a bit more complicated. But the point is that most of the time, when you are doing this wording is actually correct. However, there were a lot of people doing this, and like this usually like doesn't seem like much. Like these are the kind of warnings that like basically like these are the kinds of bugs that basically like lurk in your code base, and you don't even notice. Like to you, everything seems fine, except that then maybe like in 2 months, someone makes a change to a parent component, and then that component, or maybe it's using this component in another way, like inside an each block, and then the bugs manifest. And so if you do this a lot in your code base, it can be a real nightmare to fix it once you have to fix it. And so that's why we added this warning, which I think is the right warning, because like we've received a lot of comments about this warning, because people started receiving this warning a lot. Like I've seen people like with 900 warnings because they were using this pattern a lot. Now, granted, it's a warning, so like you could even just ignore it, like mentally ignore it. I can see, like, I would be pretty pissed if I see like 900 warnings. If everything is fine, I would probably, like, if I am 100% sure that I will never ever change this, I would probably just go over each one and add as well, ignore state referenced locally, and be done with it. And that should be this. And be done with it. So I would probably do that. Probably automating in some way, like getting the value from SvelteCheck and actually changing the code with a node script. But regardless, the point is that a lot of people were commenting like, hey, I'm doing this and it's totally fine and it was working, and now I get a warning. And then they show the code and there was the bug. It's like the warning was correct. But again, I see how people can get upset. However, all of this was to say that this specific thing was, so like this is 5.45.7 we should go. So if I do 4.7, the issue is that, let's say that I had stuff like this, name, and I don't know, lower name is equal to name. It was still giving an error like this. And in reality, the probs are already some sort of derived. So technically this is fine. Like you don't have to do that. And so that's why we removed it. And now on 10, you actually don't get a warning there. So yeah, that was it. A bit of a rant around this kind of stuff. All right, so correctly reschedule deferred effect when reviving a batch after async work. Okay, that this is like other async bug. Okay, I think I saw this PR. So basically the point is when you are reviving a batch after some async work, all the deferred effects, so the deferred effects are not executed immediately, were not rescheduled. So like if you were scheduling this effect, then reviving a batch, those effects got lost. And I think if we open the actual PR, there should be a reproduction, which I think, yeah, if you have a value X that causes a pending batch, like it is a very complex, like, yeah, there is this, the reproduction is something like this. When you click on Y before times run up, we keep X inside Y at word. So like, as you can see, like there is an awaiting of a promise inside X, and then a waiting of like, it is a complex reproduction. So like you should start these and then do this. And yeah, now I think it is fixed. It is, yeah, oh no, this is not fixed. So like you can see that inside there is like here, it's still Word, like it's still the old version of it. So like, let's refresh once again. Basically, the point is I change X to universe. Changing X to universe triggers this if here, which is awaiting a promise. Changing X to something that is greater than 0 will render this child, and it will render this child with the right value, like the current value of X, which is word. Sorry. And then when this value finishes, basically this should actually be updated because the value of X like finished changing. Every async work related to the change of X is finished, and so like it should change. And so like you would expect at the end of this to see universe and not universe word. And so if we switch, I would argue that probably, I don't know, I think it probably makes sense. Like I don't know yet, but there are two possible ways to get out of this situation. It's basically either you wait for this too, so like you don't render X immediately, like you don't render child immediately, or you update it when it changes. Let's see what the implementation actually did. So you press X, you press Y, you render word immediately, and then you, oh, it's not fixed? What? I guess it makes sense because like it's only partially fixing, like the bug is still open. And you see that it partially fixes, but not completely, because the fact that are only indirectly relying on the source. Directly relying on the source does not. So yeah, I think this also partially fixed that. Yeah, okay. Okay, correctly print doc type during print. Oh, doc type, that's nice. Fix race condition when importing async local storage. So we use async local storage in this case within Hydratable, and I think this was a sort of a like this basically was breaking Astro, and it is kind of a wild bug because basically it can only happens if the timing is actually perfectly right. Like it's basically down to a Q microsecond, like to a micro task. And it is very like basically like if you trigger two things exactly one micro task after the other, it's yeah, like it is. Yeah, it was creating two different async local storage, and now it is like it's actually a pretty easy fix at the end of the day. Like it's just using like caching the promise instead of just it is caching the promise instead of just importing node async, and that's it. Yeah, so that was kind of wild, and that's it for Svelte. Let's see if we have anything for SvelteKit. There is one release. Stop reloading already loaded CSS during server-side root resolution. Okay, so like if there was already loaded CSS, it was not loading anymore. POSIXify the instrumentation file import on Windows. Oh gosh. So if you're not aware, and I assume that like if you had anything to do with files on an open source library, you are aware of this because Windows has a different way of handling files. Like the slashes are on different like orientation. It's not backslash, it's forward. Like sorry, it's backslash, is not forward slash. But also like I think there's also some other weird quirk around files in Windows. And so this fixes that. It's very annoying. Correctly handle shared memory when decoding binary form data. Okay. So I want to see. So Automated did this very nice PR about basically now forms can actually stream files up. And like it is a pretty low level. Yeah. So when you call get buffer, it returns only uint at array. In many JavaScript runtime environments, streams often allocate chunks from a shared memory pool. This means that the uint8 array you get back is a view into a much larger array buffer, and it often has a non-zero byte offset. Okay, when you pass header buffer to data view, it creates a view starting at the very beginning, byte 0 of the underlying memory allocation, completely ignoring the byte offset. Okay, that makes sense. So basically, like they have a shared array buffer, and they give you the buffer, but they also give you the offset. And basically, like we were ignoring the offset, and now we're not. So that's pretty nice. I think this actually like shows how much of a weird world we live in. Like, I would have never guessed something like this. And I don't know how the guy that made this original PR actually was able to figure it out. Big props to him, because I would have never guessed, to be fair. All right. I closed the Svelte changelog instead. And it resets the zoom level. Sorry. All right, let's see, what else do we have? We have a new release for the Svelte MCP, but it was just reverting the name change and add the title. So I did change something, if you remember, like update server name on MCP registry, but then I figured out that you can't actually do that. And so I changed it back. And then we don't have any other release. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you guys probably next week, I hope. And then we will probably take a break during the winter evenings, holidays. But I'll keep you posted next week. Thank you for joining, and I hope you learned something. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.